Hundreds turned up for this marathon featuring the country's most prominent athletes: Stephen Kiprotich, Jacob Kiplimo, Peruth Chemtai, Isaac Chebet and Paralympian medalist David Emong, among others. Former Prime Minister Amama Mbabazi flagged them off. Chief Organizer Mary Karoro Okurut wants such runs to be held across the country.
Since we have got our gold medalists and other stars, let us go regional. We know that our people love sport, and one of the best ways of transmitting a message is when you go through sport.
Messages from different speakers carried calls for vigilance ahead of Christmas and New Year celebrations and full reopening of the economy next year.
We are opening schools according to the calendar out come January 10th. And therefore it is important that we know the opening of schools doesn't mean that COVID is no longer there.
As we go for Christmas, as we go for New Year celebrations, you know our African culture. We want to hug. We want to enjoy. We are looking forward to dancing in tightly filled spaces of discourse. Please.
Government had targeted to vaccinate 4.8 million people before fully reopening, a target that has been surpassed. Over 9 million people have so far taken the jab.
Now, this is our biggest challenge as Ministry of Health. The young people have been vaccinated and the older people above 50 are not getting vaccinated as much.
One thing I know now is that COVID is going to be like flu and cough. It's not going to go away. We must learn to prevent it. We must learn to treat it. We must learn to defeat it. I'm very sure that we will defeat it and it will become a normal disease in the years to come.
I urge the political leaders, religious leaders, the artistes, I think is how they call them, the media, and all of you to promote the COVID-19 standard operating procedures and vaccination as major interventions to eliminate the disease.
Amama Mbabazi, the former Prime Minister, called for a national vaccine mandate, asking government to make it a prerequisite for citizens to access key areas in the economy.
Please make vaccination mandatory for accessing some areas and functions. For example, schools, churches, bars, meetings, supermarkets. It may also be important to make it mandatory to have a requirement of COVID-19 vaccination for some jobs, e.g. public transport drivers, teachers, health workers, restaurant staff, etc. However, these need to be backed by some form of legislation, of course.
Vaccine mandates have been enforced by some institutions like Ministry of Health and Parliament amidst criticism over their lack of legal basis. It's not clear if Uganda will bring legislation on mandatory vaccination, but World Health Organization experts warn that making vaccination mandatory may affect public trust in the vaccine. Edward Mhumza, NTV.